Hey guys, my name is Wren, and today I have a tutorial for you. We will be doing clouds in gouache, doing more of an illustrator style tutorial here. And let's jump right into it. The very first thing that I do is lay down a wash of color. This is just what I do, and I like to leave it bordered, but you don't have to. Definitely not a requirement. I just really like the look of it, mostly just to give it a little bit of a backdrop because I find it's easier to work with gouache if I have some color surrounding it instead of just on the blank white of the page. I also really do not enjoy wasting paint, so you will see several times throughout the video I do some extra things with the paint. One of those things is painting the squares on the other side of the paper, which we get to later. The other thing is this little intermission of painting roses that I have in the middle somewhere. There is some footage of that. I think they're kind of cute. So I left it in. I like to do the gradients in different ways, different variations, and that allows me to get different colors and different moods. So in the first two that I'm going to be doing here and showing you and sort of walking through with you for are going to be lighter clouds, so more like sunset sort of vibes. And on the left side of the page, which we get to afterwards because I work backwards most of the time, are going to be darker blue, more like storm cloud-ish feeling. So in this first one here, I'm going to jump right in with just some straight white paint. And the reason that I go in with the white first is because this one I did sort of a transparent effect for. So I put the thickest paint on the outside of the cloud in sort of like an outline, and then I thinned the paint down a little bit. This reactivated some of the pink from underneath and gave it a obviously less bright white color, but also it's more transparent in the middle. It looks more like it's darker in the middle, which looks like you can see through it. But the really important thing for doing clouds in this style is keeping them sort of asymmetrical with where you place them and also their shape. So having some that are symmetrical can look good, but if they're all too symmetrical, it doesn't look intentional. It looks sort of like you don't have a whole lot of an idea of what you're doing. So I find it easiest to put the biggest lump shape off to a side and make a couple smaller ones and keep the bottom really, really flat. And that keeps it looking stylized and cohesive, and also it keeps it from getting too samey and too monotonous. And while I do this, I let my paintbrush pick up as much pink as it wants to. That makes it look like some of the clouds start to fade more into the background. I also like to layer up clouds with different colors, and not really like different, but different values. By starting with white and letting it get pink and then adding a little bit more pink to it, you can get some really, really interesting color combinations, some really interesting sort of depth to it, which I feel like you just can't achieve by using only one color. This does make it a little bit difficult sometimes if you are new to gouache like I am, because I have a tendency to fight with gouache and try to make it more like watercolor, so less hard edges, less really flat, opaque colors. But this really works to your advantage in this very illustrative style. Breaking the border is something that I'm really, really fond of. I think a lot of artists do this. I know Casey Golden is really popular for doing this, having a border and then breaking it. And I do that a lot with these clouds. You don't have to. I think they're super interesting even if you are not into that sort of broken border look, and this can be a really, really great addition to backgrounds for pieces and things like that. And I just think they're super fun. I do them all the time. Most of the sketchbook is full of clouds on these just little rectangular backgrounds. Another way to keep it interesting and keep it from getting too monotonous, too repetitive, is to pick 1 or 2 points to be really, really tall, and then just keep fading it out from there. You'll see that I have a tendency to sort of just drag my brush along into a very flat line, and sometimes I'll add little extra clouds after that in the same sort of stroke. And that's just like to increase the look of it extending. Sort of the idea that the clouds are real, they have a horizon, and clouds do just kind of clump together like that. And so that's a really fun thing to incorporate. These little circles that I'm doing here are going to be the roses that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I knew I was going to be switching to purple for the clouds on the next one, so I decided to clean the pink off of my palette, and I do that by using it. And normally I just doodle some flowers, and so I did roses on this page. After painting all of the circles down here, I decided to leave them alone because they need to dry. They need to dry before I do anything else to them. And then we're back into painting some clouds. I start with this pink that is toned slightly purple. And if you have watched some of my videos before, you may already know that I am particularly bad at using purple in art, and so I am pushing myself very, very hard to do that. And it's going about as well as, you know, it can. I am slowly but surely improving, but because I am not great with purple, please bear with me. I was pretty sure I was using purple for the rest of the video on the clouds, and in rewatching the footage and looking in my sketchbook to double check that my camera wasn't bugging, I used a lot of blue and I was definitely trying to use purple. But really, we're just doing the same thing over here. We're going to keep making some big, lumpy, bulbous clouds with some relatively flat bottoms, and putting some smaller ones behind, or some darker ones, or some lighter ones around it, just to give it a little bit more interest. I sometimes like to layer lighter clouds on top of darker clouds to make it look like there are more clouds in the distance. I will also make smaller clouds that are darker to make those look like they're farther off in the distance as well. Those are some techniques that I really like, but honestly, that's about it. That's how you can paint some illustrator styled clouds. Illustrated, as opposed to like a painterly style, which aims for more brush strokes. This is like a very simplified, cute sort of way to paint clouds. If you're still not sure if you've quite got it, don't worry. There's still more footage of me painting clouds. You will be able to watch that. I'm going to stop talking about the painting now, so the tutorial is effectively over at this point. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. I can answer them for you. If you want to share your art with me, if you follow this tutorial for any reason, you can post your art on Instagram and tag me. I am at RennieB, and I'm also at RennieB on Twitter. I would absolutely love to see your art if you do this. So please, 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 please share it with me if you do. I am going to talk for a little bit before leaving the rest of the video to just watch and check out in the event that you do have questions on technique or want a little bit more inspiration or something. I am going to talk about some updates and changes and things. So as you can see, this video is actually not filmed in my regular filming space. That is because I was in the process of moving. This will be the last video filmed in my apartment. I've moved back in with my parents. I'm still not quite sure where I'm going to be filming here, but I will figure something out. I'm planning on sticking to my upload schedule, so no worries there. Things are going to be a little hectic for a minute, so I'm sorry if there's any background noise or anything. I've done my very best to make sure that that isn't audible in the background of this, but I am not perfect. I am not fantastic at this. I'm definitely by no means a sound engineer, but I'm going to do my best. I'm really excited to continue uploading. I promise I will still be uploading. And seriously, please, if you follow this tutorial, show me your art. I would love to see it. And if you have any questions at all, comment, let me know. I see everything, every single comment that's left. I look at it. I know obviously it's not the biggest chore, seeing as my channel is still very small, but let me know. I will get around to answering questions. Other than that, I think that's all I've got for you today. So stick around, enjoy the video, and I will see you guys next week. Goodbye.